Welcome you to the masterclass, the Physical Male Project. And this is a class I'm going to teach you how to actually optimize your health. You can add another 10 to 15 years to your life. I'm going to give you the exact roadmap. And you're probably here because you're an out of shape, middle-aged man who's put all his time and energy in his career and his focus and taking care of his family and neglected the physical part of you because you didn't have time or you're too stressed out or whatever. But anyways, you're at that point now where you've accomplished your goals. You have the time to put into it. And I speak to guys like you all over the country, actually all over the world, that they want to do it, but they're trying some different things and they're so confused and frustrated. That's the problem, that they can't stick to it for whatever reason. They don't have the motivation, or they're confused, or they can't stand low carbs. So actually, I'm going to talk about a lot of different health issues, weight loss issues on this training. I'm going to give you exactly everything you need, the exact roadmap, the exact path that's going to help you transform your life. So you're probably saying to yourself, is this worth my time? Yes, and here's why. Because you can spend your time the next 45 minutes bring it on Netflix, Instagram, Facebook. It's going to be some instant gratification, but it's not going to give any true value to your life, especially when this is a very important concern to you right now. Your health is declining, or you don't want to decline, or you're on medications, about to be on medications. So stick with me through this process and I'll give you the exact roadmap. Now you're probably wondering, what am I pitching to you? So you're probably stuck where you were, maybe been trying to do things over the last 6 months or year, maybe even a couple of years. And what I've done here is I've built a VIP program specifically for people like you, men like me. I mean, middle-aged men. These are things I've experienced now that I'm 56, that my body has completely changed over the years. I had to change every decade with that. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to become extremely frustrating, and you'll learn why throughout this entire process. So yes, I'm going to tell you, would I like to have you as a client? Absolutely. But even if you choose not to, then you actually take this information, implement it on your own, and solve the current problem you currently have. I just want to go some results that I have. I've coached thousands of men, well over 1,000 men and women. But right now I'm targeting and focusing on men, specifically middle-aged men, because that's the passion I have right now. And there's a lot of men in need that are actually dying too early. That's unnecessary. That could have been prevented. So on a daily basis, I'm saving people's lives. I mean, it's hard to actually quantify that, but I feel like I'm more important and more valuable than the doctor, because they're not giving them the things they need to solve the underlying problem. They're getting medications to mask or band-aid the situation, the problem. So the root of the cause is not addressed. Anyways, here on the left, this guy here, 50 years old, 35-pound loss. That was about a 12-week period. This is another man, gentleman on the right, good friend of mine. Now, he and I have been talking for a couple of years about what it takes to do this, but he just wasn't at the point where he was ready to commit. And that's the big word, commit. If you commit, it's going to get done if you have the right path. But here's also the confusion. The problem is committing and having the wrong path, thinking you have the right path, put all that energy into it, is still not getting the outcome or the results you want. That's frustrating. And I've been there, I know, and I just see it time and time again across the board. Anyways, this is actually a 6-week transformation. It's hard to believe, but when you put everything in line in the right order and do those things on a consistent basis, this is the kind of results that can happen. This is another guy in his 40s. So I consider middle-aged men about 45 to 65, but let's say he was 40, but this is still a significant weight loss, which is life-changing. It's not just about the weight loss, is why you're doing this. You're optimizing your health. You want to live longer because you're at the point where you've worked so hard to get to the point to want to enjoy your life, but now you're at a point where your body's completely out of shape, your health's failing, it's declining, and how are you going to be able to enjoy the things that you worked so hard for? That's the purpose of this whole thing. But anyways, this is about 65, 70 pounds in a 12-week period. Just another amazing example. Another one. this is an old college buddy of mine. Here he's 53. But you see on the left, this is what he was doing, thinking he's doing the right things. He's working out, doing a little bit of cardio, thinks he has his diet right. So the definition of what's right, people's definition and my definition aren't the same, okay? I'm not telling you you're going to have to live on rice cakes and tuna because that's ridiculous. But there's certain things other than food and training that are going to make this kind of a significant change. So this is about a 3-month change, let's say 4 months max, but it's only a 12-pound change. It's not about weight. It's about the body composition. It's about fat loss. Fat, especially around the internal organs for men, is the dangerous, life-threatening fat that we really have to address. It's not that you want to look ripped. I mean, you want to look tight. You may not want to be this ripped, but just another example. Anyways, move on. So I want you to grab a pen and paper, take some notes, because you're going to get some valuable information whether we work together or not, and just implement consistently. So who am I? So why should you even listen to me? So here I am on the left at 55 years old. I just turned 60. I mean, I'm 56. And this is when I competed in my younger years. The point of that was, could I look like that again? Absolutely. It's a whole different level of commitment. It's the same principles, but you don't have to live a bodybuilding lifestyle. I'm not trying to create that for you. I want good health and longevity is the #1 focus. But the point is, I have to know, if you get in that level of condition, I have to really know something. That's not just genetic, all right? But now, the purpose of the Male Physical Project is, even though I was younger then, I'm still in great condition. I got people asking me on a daily basis, how do I do it? How do you stay looking like that? When I should be declining, I'm not. If anything, I feel like I'm still getting better. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I don't buy into the norms. The norms is just people lacking information, lacking experience, opening their minds to the possibility of, just because people before you looked at like whatever, older at a certain age, doesn't mean it has to happen that way. So I'm kind of not a new phenomenon, but there's a lot of guys my age popping up and older that are in tremendous shape, but they got a formula that the rest of us don't. The rest of us are, not us, but I'm saying people in general, are marketed by weight loss and diet industry, which there's some confusing information there, and I don't agree with a lot of it. It's what I teach is very simple and basic and fundamental. So there's no trick, but there's how do you link certain things together and be aware of certain things at certain ages is where the trick is, if we want to even call it that. Anyways, here's the vision: is I don't want you to feel frustrated. I want you to feel spot on and, wow, I know exactly what I do. It's just up to me to doing the work. And I want you to get that belief out of your mind that you're going to age like everybody else. If you do what everybody else does, you're going to age like everybody else is. So being who you are, who I think you are, you've got what it takes. You just don't have the right information. Okay, so this is why I exist, because there is a big problem of people, middle-aged men, that are just dropping dead way too early. I even consider 60 as being young, 70 still, because I see guys, gals that are in that kind of shape, but they know what they're doing, right? So I solve a big problem, big, huge problem. You can stick around for a very long time if you just have the basic roadmap to get you there. So it matters to the people on my clients that I'm working with, because they come to me just like you. It's like, I really want it, but I'm putting effort into something I'm not getting any return on it, okay? So biggest thing is, let's get healthy, optimize health. Weight loss is a byproduct of it. It's going to happen automatically anyways. And all the internal things, the healing that's going to go inside, is going to contribute to you adding more quality years to your life. So here's the roadmap that I'm talking about. or the path, or the whatever you want to call it. I'm going to show you here the 5 key steps, and then I'm going to break them down for you. So number one, important thing is a complete assessment. I got to know everything about you, the facts, in order to design the right roadmap or the tweaks of the roadmap, because everybody's a little bit different. It has to be real specific. Number 2 is mindset. You're going to notice that as we get into this process, the nutrition and the exercise are number 4 in the process. So mindset. And I'll break these down. Step 3, we got to address hormones. We got sleep, the stress going on in your life, digestion and gut health. And as you see here, what the rest of the industry is talking about is nutrition and training. But I put supplementation in there because it's a huge component. Some believe it's not. I totally disagree. Anyways, again, I'm living proof. I've lived this for the last 40 years. I have and had the financial success, but I also had the physical success to go along with it, which makes me qualified, so to speak, to be a coach for you, because I have to live it. I've had to experience it. I was unaware of it until I experienced certain things and made adjustments to that. So I forgot to mention, I do have the degrees, the exercise science and the business degrees, and the certifications, all that. The bodybuilding background experience, I mean, but that, the education was working with real live people. But again, just to give you a little bit more on my background. And number 5 is the community and environment. The environment has to change around you to support your efforts. The community of what I've created is men exactly like you in the same exact situation, experiencing the same exact frustrations, all pulling together, all communicating together, all leaning on one another, supporting one another. I found over the years this has been a tremendous advantage to people getting results and not being isolated on your own, because you're going to be sabotaged by the people closest to you and influenced and poked and prodded and teased and whatever. I mean, it's just natural human behavior to see somebody progressing towards something and want to subconsciously, maybe it's subconscious, to pull them down. So let's go through the steps. So step 1, assessment and facts. I got to know exactly the truth about what's going on with you, what your beliefs are, because believe it or not, I have people that come into my program and they're telling me their way of doing things, and it doesn't equal the way I'm doing things. They're totally opposites, but logically speaking, it makes sense to them. But if what they're telling me and what they're believing works, then why are we even talking in the first place? So it's, again, I'm very choosy. I choose very carefully who I work with, because there's some people I'm just not going to convince. Meaning they believe one thing and one thing only, and I don't have the time and energy. I want people who are committed and willing to follow and learn and apply, not challenge me the whole way, because they look like that. If they're 40, 50, 60, 100 pounds overweight and you're telling me one thing and I look like I do, I think that this is not a good match. So understand where I'm coming from. So I need to know your past, what you've tried in the past, what weight loss programs, what diets, what exercise, what nutrition, what have you done cardio? Have you done strength training? The habits, your daily routine, your blood work. I want to know limitations. There might have knee issues, back issues, hip, shoulder, and your support system. So I need to gather all those facts, entire assessment, in order to give you the truth about what it's going to take and whether you're going to do what it takes to get where you need to go. So that's step number 1. So the problem, step number 1 is the facts. You're frustrated, you're confused. You tried things in the past to lose weight, couldn't stick with it for whatever reason, not sure what to do and who to believe or who to trust. Without facts, how can you possibly succeed? We need that in order to formulate the correct program. Even though all 5 steps apply, there are tweaks within that with each individual. So what you're currently experiencing, you're overweight, it won't move. You've tried things in the past, buying bigger clothes each year. Your sex life, you feel the effects of that. It's tanked. Your energy sucks. You're moody. You have less mental clarity. You're irritable. You can't tie your shoes. It's hard for you to get past the belly to bend down and tie the shoes. I know all this stuff. Everything here I've experienced. So the possibility is this. Obviously, we're going to decrease belly fat. And then we're going to get into how it lowers your risk for sleep and how that plays in as a big, big part of the whole entire process and the problem that it can create if it's not addressed. Build more lean muscle. Muscle is metabolism. Not only does it look good on the body, and again, I want to establish this. I'm not trying to create a bodybuilder out of you unless you want to be. That's not the point. The point is we all lose lean muscle as we age, beginning in the mid-20s. So how is it I'm mid-50s and I still have the muscle I had when I'm in my mid-20s? Again, this is the secrets, I want to call it, or it's not really secrets. It's path I'm going to give you. So help you feel younger and more vital. Improve the memory and cognition. Give the sex life a lift. Improve your moods, make you feel less irritable, depressed. Increase your leadership skills, improve your performance at work if you're still working. Maybe you pick up another project if you've already succeeded in a certain profession. Step number one, what you need to do, take the assessment, the truth about what you're doing, what you've done. If there's any lying or there's a mistruth that you're telling yourself, there's some beliefs that you have that don't correlate to what it's going to take to get results that might be holding you back. What you tried in the past, one of your measurements, your exercise history, your beliefs, your habits, blood work, any limitations physically, support system. Most importantly, what are you willing to do about it? Even when you get the proper and correct plan, what's your commitment level? So without the commitment, the path, the plan is not going to work anyways. So sum it up. I know you're frustrated. I know you're confused. That's the problem. You want to get something that works for you. You want direction. You want coaching. You just want the truth. The pain is, how is it affecting the quality of your life and the people around you? That's important. It's not just you that it affects. It affects your family, your relationships, your friends, your work, co-workers, your employees, whatever. So the possibility is we get that path. I can guarantee you're going to optimize your health and you're going to add another 10 to 15 years to your life. Step two, mindset. So basically the truth. The quality of your thoughts deeply intertwine with your physical reality, meaning your health, your career, success, relationships, etc. Since our thoughts become things, then we are ultimately the creators of the life and circumstances we now find ourselves in. So we like to go through life. We like to think that our minds and our thoughts, that they don't shape our world. The truth is, what I said here is the quality of the thoughts basically shapes your world, because everything is a form of energy. And when I really got this step down, it was like I was doing it automatically, but didn't really understand that until I started breaking it down and working with clients as what do I do to get like this? And I just kept breaking it down into different steps, and it always comes up. If the mindset's not there, it doesn't matter what program, what diet, what exercise routine I give you, it's not going to work. It's not going to take hold. It's not going to, you're not going to get the fulfillment out of it. You're not going to maximize it. So everything starts in your head. So whether it's positive, neutral, or negative, you're basically creating energy. Every movement, every day, you're creating energy. Everything you think, everything you say, everything you do, it emits corresponding vibrations that get sent out to the world. So stick with me on that. Vibrations. Okay? Since our thoughts become things, then we're ultimately the creators of the life circumstances we now find ourselves in. For example, if your mind is full of limiting thoughts like, I can't lose weight, I'll never get this weight off, I'll never be healthy, or you're constantly talking about your aches and pains or your injuries or surgeries, like it's your badge of honor. And guess what? You're not going to get through results because your feeling of an inadequacy, it tells the universe precisely what you are to experience. And this is where it comes into energy and vibrations, and you attract like things. Frequencies, like certain frequencies attract higher frequencies, attract the same. So higher frequencies, lower attract lower. So again, it's positioning the mind. So we have this power within that a lot of us aren't aware of, that we can just make the process so much easier. So here's part of what you need to do. You need to set the intention, meaning use the law of attraction. Law of attraction, like these frequencies, these energies, to attract positivity and higher frequency in your mind. So we attract either positivity or negativity in our lives when we think. So if we want to raise that frequency in our mind, we have to get past the negativity and focus on, our focus is on what is, or not on what's wrong or what's harmful or awful. So again, it's guarding your thoughts, it's guarding your mind, because thoughts are the highest form of vibration. So it's becoming aware of what you're saying, what you're speaking, is what I'm saying. So the problem in this step is you have the power within to create your own reality, but you just don't use it. Some of you I'm talking to, you may understand this already, because that's what you use to succeed in business, in life, in career, whatever. We're going to apply that same thing. And if this is not new to you, then great, we're a step ahead of the game. Now you just need to know what to do. What are the other things? What are the other steps? So, but those who you don't understand this, we're going to work on this. This is exercise. And you'll see a mental weight training. Here it is. Mental weight training. It's practice. Just like we do fitness every day, or we eat certain things every day, or we train for certain every day. It's repetition, but it's exercise. Again, what you're experiencing without the mindset, you're having difficulty sticking to a program. You're not using harnessing the power of the vibration or the mind or the thoughts, or you're not even aware of it. You're just not set up for success. That's what you're experiencing. You continue to repeat the same failures you've experienced with other programs or other plans. Possibility, again, I'm going to enforce this. The man here on the right, that's middle-aged man. He looks good, okay? If you have the belly, or if you have the weight around the, the love handles or whatever, you're not destined to have that just because you're older. There's too many of us that are older that don't look like that, okay? Again, it's just lacking knowledge, lacking support, lacking truth, okay? Muscle, again, it's your metabolism, it rates you burn calories, but it also keeps you mobile as you get older. Feel younger, more vital, memory, cognition. I'm going to go over these every step. Sex, better. Moods, better. Less irritable. Not as depressed, not as anxious. Or at work. Performance. So in step 2, what you need to do, guard your thoughts. Your speech, aware of them. Meditation is going to play into this. Visualization is going to play into this. Affirmations play into this. These are all mental exercises. Beware of what we talk about. Vibration. What frequency are you functioning? Are you vibrating at? Journal it if you have to. A lot of ways to do this, but these are just tools. Workout. Practice, 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 like I said before. So the problem is, you have the power within to change, use it. It's really hard to stick to a program. You're fatigued. You're getting fatter all the time. Sex drive's going down. Feeling depressed. Relationship failing. Your work suffers. So the possibility is you're pre-programmed, optimized. You got to pre-program you to optimize and make this process of adding 10 to 15 years to your life as it's simple if we apply the path correctly. Let's move on. Let's get into the next step. Hormone, sleep, stress, and digestion, how that all plays together in intertwined, basically. So the hormones, now, because you're in the middle-aged years, there's a high probability your testosterone levels have declined, as well as other hormones that I'm going to address here. And again, this is part of the fat gathering. Maybe some of you have already addressed this part, maybe you haven't. Well, if you have, then you're still confused and frustrated because you're still not getting the results. It means that wasn't the end-all be-all, just like the diet isn't either, or the exercise plan. You know how many times people ask me, well, what exercise should I do to get rid of this? And they point at their belly or their love handles. I said, you got an hour? You know, because it's going to take a lot more to explain. Here, do this exercise. It doesn't work like that. I wish it did. It's not that easy. So a lot of health experts, they link the low testosterone to numerous symptoms, including poor sleep habits, poor concentration, depression, anxiety. The symptoms indicate a greater concern that includes poor inadequate healing and lack of physical activity. So the relationship between obesity and testosterone, it's like a vicious cycle. So again, it's part of this entire process. It's a piece of the puzzle. So if you have low testosterone, low test level, low T levels, you may not be aware of the symptoms. The symptoms are typically fatigue, depression, loss of muscle, loss of sex, sexual health issues. And typically testosterone levels, you start to decrease substantially after the age of 35, in around about there. Now, there's a study out that basically says that men, they're likely to experience hormone-related conditions similar to that of women going through menopause. You probably heard it said male menopause. That's not the real term, but that's, you know, I've heard it. The hormone imbalance is linked to unwanted weight gain, diabetes, heart disease, other chronic diseases. So it's just not you take that to get your sex better, okay, or to give you more energy. There's deeper things that it can stem from this. Now, the bad news for men who want to lose weight is that most diets, typically when they go on them, they dramatically lower the testosterone levels. I don't know if you knew that or not, but being on typically a low carbohydrate diets lower testosterone, and we'll get into this a little bit later when I get into the nutrition and into the training part, but the whole low carb craze, the keto diet, which is nothing more than the Atkins diet. So there's negative things that can happen with being on a low carb diet for too long. Yeah, you're gonna lose weight, but you're gonna lose some other things too. So we'll get into that. So let's go to sleep. So how does sleep or disturbed sleep lead to low testosterone? It's not only the lack of sleep that interferes with normal testosterone production. It's poor sleep, as in OSA. Some of you might be familiar with this, some not. Obstructive sleep apnea. Obstructive sleep apnea also raises the stress hormone cortisol. Now, I've had experience with this, okay, and this is how I know to put this step in here. And if your cortisol levels are high, it's basically a testosterone killer. Because I know, I had the blood work done. You know, my test levels are extremely low. And I'm gaining belly fat. And I have to work out harder, more cardio to get fat off. And that's why you hear people say, it gets harder as you get older. Hell yeah, it does. Because the body's changed. Again, this is why I'm effective at coaching people, because I've experienced this. That there was frustration going on because, wait a minute, I'm working out harder than I was before. And now that I've gotten actually diagnosed with sleep apnea, I'm severe, and I was probably been like this for years, I don't have to do as much cardio. And it's like my belly wasn't getting fat like between the skin and the muscle. Like you can still see abs, but it was protruding. What that means was my belly's sticking out because of the internal fat, because of the cortisol levels. Because the cortisol is making me hold on to fat. So I'm working out and eating right and getting worse. But now I'm doing the same thing, but because I'm getting deep restorative sleep, And that's the key word, restorative, means your body heals, mean it's not under stress. I'm not talking about stress when you're awake. I'm talking about stress because your body does not get into deep restorative sleep. Stress, cortisol, adds body fat. Okay? But we can get into this a little bit more later. And if you decide that you want to book a call with me at the end of the webinar, then we can go into that a little bit deeper. But anyways, so let's talk a little bit about testosterone replacement therapy. It can improve your sleep. And beyond that, it's going to decrease belly fat, build lean muscle, help you feel younger, more vital. This is what the hormone clinics out there basically are telling you. But I don't think they're addressing it as wide as I am. And that's why a couple of them have reached out to me that we might be partnering our programs together, because the men are going to get another level of service, basically, in understanding and education and support. So testosterone optimization, it's going to also improve your memory, your cognition, the things I've already went over. Give your sex life a lift, improve your moods, etc. All right, let's talk about stress. I'm going to hustle through this. Stay with me. Stress causes decreased blood sugar, which leads to a fatigue. Blood sugar drops, you get fatigued. All right. Then you're basically living off caffeine and caffeinated products to stay awake, or alcohol to make you feel better. So now your sleep cycle gets even more disrupted. So sleep is also a powerful factor influencing weight gain and weight loss, which I already touched on. Anyways, so let's talk about the fight and flight, like when you're under stress. So say you're awake and you're experiencing some situation in your life. So you're stressed out. You're going to fight or you're going to flee. So when you're in that mode, your body thinks you've used all the calories to deal with your stress. You know you haven't. So as a result, it thinks you need to replenish those calories, even though you don't. Okay, so what happens, the level of the stress hormone, which I call cortisol, rises during these tension-filled times. This is what happens. It turns into overeating into a habit, meaning because the increased levels of the hormone also help cause higher level insulin levels, your blood sugar drops, and now you're craving sugary and fatty foods. So instead of reaching for something good, let's say for a chicken salad or a chicken and rice or a banana or a piece of fruit or whatever, you're more likely to reach for cookies or mac and cheese, something like that. And that's why they're called comfort foods. So your eating becomes a way of lowering the stress. Okay. So again, we got to get those levels under control with hormones, get your sleep right, address the stress in all different areas. And then let's see how digestion plays into this. Let me just finish one more thing on stress. This happens, your body releases chemicals in response to food that might have a direct calming effect. That's what I talked about getting down. So fatty and sugary foods are usually the biggest culprit. The bottom line, more stress equals more cortisol, equals higher appetite for junk food, which equals more belly fat. So you see how this vicious cycle, so it's hard to stay on a diet or a nutrition plan in your craving because you don't have all these hormones under control. Make sense? Okay. Now, when the stress activates or the fight or flight response in your central nervous system, it's going to affect your digestive system. It's going to cause things like this. Your esophagus to go into spasm. It increases the acid in your stomach, which results in indigestion. A lot of people have that. It makes you feel nauseous. It could even give you diarrhea and constipation. More serious cases, the stress that causes a decrease in blood flow and oxygen to the stomach. And this can lead to cramping, inflammation, and an imbalance of gut bacteria. It can also aggravate gastrointestinal disorders, things like this. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, peptic ulcers, and then GERD, which stands for gastroesophageal esophageal reflux disease. Very common for people. Again, how do I get that under control? That's part of the path. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, so let's go on. And so the problem is with not having this under control, your body's ecosystem, it has entirely changed. Now that you're a middle-aged man, so your hormones are out of balance, you've undergone a tremendous amount of stress, and you don't digest and absorb the nutrients as well as you once did. And you have little chances of success unless these concerns and issues are addressed. And diet and exercise doesn't do that. Hormone replacement doesn't do that. Again, it's just parts of. You got to put them all together. So, and what you're experiencing because you don't have all this stuff under control, you're frustrated. You tried a lot of fad diets to lose 20 or 30 pounds, but you just can't stick with it. You get some off, and you fall off. So, my VIP program, this whole physical male project is about getting you to stay on this long term. I see so many short term people on it, off it, on and off it, and cycling. And we need to correct that. Your weight continues to climb, you lack confidence, you lack energy, your health is rapidly declining. All these things we're covering time and time again. So the possibility, again, we've seen them before. Why wouldn't you want to do this? Now that you know, put it together, put it into play. Step 3, you got to test the hormones. Possibly a sleep study for the sleep apnea, depending on the assessment, the fat gathering, and if we have a conversation or not. Meditation, other ways to calm yourself down, get those cortisol levels under control, which we just talked about, and the estrogen levels under control too. That's a female hormone. Be a fine balance between testosterone and estrogen. Obviously, estrogen has to be low, but many times estrogen rises as we age when our test levels go down. The man boobs are not just caused by this, but it certainly helps. We've all heard that term. So just to sum it up, you get all those hormones, bacteria balance. Because I don't want you to be frustrated with working out more, eating less, which is the worst thing you do, and we haven't gotten to that. That's the next step. You get that stress level. It's just out of control, and it's just causing your rapid decline in your health. And again, just to keep circling back around, you need to be healthy now. So what you work so hard for, this is the time of your life to enjoy. So let's correct it. The pain is you're fatigued, you're fat, sex sucks, possibility. Energetic, better sex, pretty, belly fat, more lean muscle. Be the man you want to be. It's possible at this age, not impossible. Let me just throw this at you. I've got guys 87 years old, 89 years old, 80 years old. Now they're not going to be ripped with abs. Their muscle mass is responding as if they were 30. And there are tests and research and studies out there. And I've started 32 years ago doing this, telling people when Tufts University did an actual study on the aging population and weight training. So it's real. Step 4. As you see, it's way down in the process. So let's address the nutrition. Let's talk a little bit about low carb diets. It's a big phenomenon. I mean, it's not fun. It's been around decade after decade. So what they call the keto diet now is basically the Atkins diet. So why low carb diets got it all wrong? So if you ask anybody that needed to lose a few pounds, they're going to probably say, cut back on the carbs, right? So as a coach, I've heard this hundreds of times. Low carb diets, they've been around so long. It's probably the 5th time in my life. It's nothing different. And so people have been conditioned that carbs are fattening, that they're going to make you fat. And I'm going to tell you the exact opposite. So if you're trying to lose weight, people tend to cut out the carbs everywhere. They go overboard. And Now you got a problem with energy, you got a problem with testosterone, you got a problem with cortisol, and you'll see as I go through this process being on a low-carb diet. But it works to a point and then it stops working. So it's not a long-term thing. So in the past few years, you've probably heard things like this. Carbs spike your blood sugar, making your body fat, and making you fat. Carbs, especially sugars and grains, cause inflammation. Not necessarily all true. So let me ask you this. So the question is, do carbs increase insulin levels? Yes, they certainly do. Does increased insulin after meals, does increase in insulin after meals lead to fat gain? No, not necessarily, okay? Are carbs really inflammatory? Now that depends. Are we talking about processed carbs? Are we talking about corn syrup? Yeah. But if we're talking about slow releasing carbs like brown rice, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, no, not really, okay? It doesn't, you just gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know what carbs to take and how much, because your body needs them to function. Our low carb diets work to help people lose weight? Yeah, they can, but you also got to be careful with what kind of weight. See, I don't judge success on scale weight. It's ratio of muscle to fat. If you're losing fat weight, yeah, and you're gaining muscle weight, then the scale is not going to show as down as far. So the scale is not the true determining factor of success. It can trick the heck out of you. So you got to know what you're doing with that. So can eating an appropriate amount of carbs actually help you look, feel, and perform at your best? Absolutely. So here's the problem with not eating carbs. It's great as a short-term weight loss strategy, but it's not great for a long-term strategy and for a lifestyle. Here's the thing. The carb reduction, it's going to cost you. Okay, so most of us require carbohydrates, our bodies, to function at our best over the long term. So you can temporarily cut them, you're going to lose weight quickly. But for most of us, it's going to have a disastrous effect, meaning, and this is true for especially people who work out, and part of your success formula, your path, working out, we're going to address that next, but not working out and spending 2 hours in the gym, because we all have that time's a factor, even myself. So my workouts have to be efficient. But if you like to exercise, what you're going to, restricting your carb intake too drastically, it's going to lead to this: decreased thyroid output. You know how many women that I've coached in the past that they go to the doctor and sure enough, their thyroid is slowed or it's hypo. Doctor puts them on a thyroid medication. It could have been corrected with diet and exercise, but it was lowered because of the women tend to not to eat a lot, or anybody who's not taking enough calories of food because they think, well, if I eat less and I train more, again, what they've done is lower the thyroid. You're going to increase your cortisol output. We already talked about that. Decrease testosterone on a low carb diet. It's going to impair your mood and your cognitive function. It's going to have, you're going to go through muscle catabolism, meaning muscle wasting. You're going to take muscle off your body. That's the worst thing you can possibly do. But if you don't give it enough food support, the carbs are part of that process to support your muscle, it's going to hit the road. You're going to lose it. And it can suppress your immune system. So in other words, your metabolism is going to slow down. Stress hormones are going to go up. And your muscle building hormones are going to go down. You feel lousy, you're spaced out, you're sluggish, you're cranky. You might even get sick. And the craziest thing of all, you probably don't even lose that much weight in the long term. So let's talk a little bit about supplements and training, and then one more step. So here's some guidelines when considering supplements. Quality, huge issue. It's taken me years to find something to recommend to my clients and use for myself. I use it in a powdered form because absorption is very, very high. Meaning I'm getting a 95% absorption of the vitamins, key vitamins and minerals, versus taking a pill that has binders and fillers versus the ones I take that don't. And Also, you take the pills with food. So now you're competing with food and you're competing with stomach acid. At best, 30–40% absorption rate. So you're not getting a real good bang for your buck. And the problem with quality, because they're not regulated by the government or the FDA, you don't know what's on the shelf. It looks pretty, but so many times have they taken them off and tested them, and it's not what says it's in there. It's not in there. So you got to watch quality and who you trust. So even medical doctors, they're not knowledgeable that much about nutritional supplements. I also do this. I'm a trained and certified nutrimetric consultant. So basically what I do is I help physicians implement a supplement line protocol strategy, weight management system into their practices because they don't really know. Okay. What you need to know also, considering supplements, is basics, basic vitamins and mineral balance, and some other nutrients like some fish oils, fiber, digestive enzymes, because if we've gotten older, we can't assimilate and digest the food as efficient as we once could. Probiotics, because we got to keep that friendly, good gut bacteria in balance, because there's good and there's bad. And once you begin taking supplements or protocol doing it, you got to make the commitment to them. So, and that's the only way you're going to realize results with them, is be consistent. One last thing on step 4, training. All right. So we got cardio, and we got strength. Cardio, two things. It helps. Number one, it strengthens the heart. Heart is the most important muscle in the body. So we have to train and get to a certain levels called the exercising heart rate and maintain that over a period of time. The other thing it does too, it helps to burn and mobilize fat. So it's going to be part of the process of reducing fat while we're gaining muscle with the strength training. But we need the food to support the strength, the muscle that we're stimulating with the strength training. So they both go hand in hand. So the benefits of, here's the strength training. Let me make this quick. It's going to help with the bone loss. If anything, it's going to help build bone. So it's going to help protect against osteoporosis. It's going to build your metabolism, your muscle, your metabolism, your ability to burn calories. It's going to strength training. It's going to help things like depression, diabetes, obesity, back pain. It's necessary, and like I've started a program too with older individuals, or the average age is probably 72 to 75. And it's going to help. It helps with their arthritis, helps with their mobility, specifically like knee osteoarthritis. And then there's something called a metabolic syndrome. Again, keeping focus on weight training, what this is doing. It's a cluster of conditions that occur together, meaning like increasing your risk for heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. These include conditions like increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body fat. So again, we're taking the risk away. See, this all compiles together to give you that 10 to 15 years of a better, more quality life. Weight training, again, we touched on it. It affects your mental health. It may benefit, mental health. There's been some research done on it, and it shows that strength training, how it improves brain cognition, the reduction of anxiety, reduces depression, boosts self-esteem, improves your overall mental health. And then I mentioned this earlier too, the fact that we're very, very busy people, we got to fit this into a short period of time. So we combine both by doing compound movements. What I mean by that is basic movements that are going to utilize multiple muscles at one time. Then we combine that with interval training. So we're doing like a strength cardio, back and forth. That's the most efficient way to go about training. So go for step 4. So the problem with step 4 is you're probably eating too little. You might probably eating way too many inflammatory foods. And when I say little is most people don't understand. You've got to, they get it all wrong. Most people do this: exercise more, eat less. There's got to be a balance there. That can work totally against you. The problem is your gut bacteria is way out of balance. Your supplements are of low quality. If you're even taking them, they're not be absorbed. And the plan's not real specific to you. And again, you might be doing too many things because you heard and read too many things. And then of course with the training, it's either too much or too little. Some people don't train at all, and I got people way overdoing it. So again, I've got to adjust. So what you experience again is all these symptoms: the indigestion, the heartburn, the nausea, the energy, the sluggish, the mental fatigue. You've complicated, if you're training, you complicate your training and getting nothing out of it because you're either training too much or too little. That's what you're experiencing. Your gut health is a mess because the foods and the way you've eaten most of your life. And your gut is basically your second brain. It tells you a lot of things. And of course, you're experiencing confusion around supplements. And the possibility. And this is the last time, close to the last time I'm going to mention it to you, but here's what we need to do. Step 4, sensible nutrition plan, not a low carb diet, a moderate carb diet. We got to get good quality supplements because you're fooling yourself if you think you're getting the vitamins and the minerals and the nutrients you need out of your food today, maybe 50 years ago, but not today. And we need to get a balanced training program. It's not time consuming. And I'm going to point out the picture in the top left. This gentleman's name's Doc. He's 89 years old. He's one of the guys I was talking about I work with. He's slamming around 12-pound dumbbells there. He could have easily done 15s. Summing up, training supplements do not support your problem. You got the fatigue, lack of sex, depressed, memory, anxious, irritable, possibility. Yeah, you can, but we got to put this plan into effect. You want to feel like you're alive again. Step 5, last one, community environment. I'll just read this through you. So basically, community is defined as a self-organized network of people with a common agenda, a cause, an interest. We share ideas, information, resources. And as you see here, virtual communities, and that's what I have set up in this process. It's participants who are discussing, becoming friends, sharing live, meeting up. There's a support system there. See, losing weight or improving your health, optimizing it, add it 10 or 15 years, it's more than just changing the diet. You got to change the environment. You got to change your habits. And I put in here the recent study at Cornell University. Dieters focus on changing their surroundings are more successful at adhering to the diet and losing weight. If you don't have a community, you don't have the support and experienced coach, you just don't have it, you're on your own. People, same problem. And the problem is your environment and your support mechanisms, it needs to change. So we're giving a complete overhaul of everything you've got and everything you've been doing in the past. You're isolated, chances are you're going to quit. You need people to lean on. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. So without the community, you're going to experience the same frustration. It's just going to perpetuate the decline that you're experiencing right now. So community it's where you find comfort in difficult times. It's where one finds the balance between the physical and the mental fitness. Over this, what to do. Belong to a community of men experience the same things you are. Change your environment. In summary, I'm going to pass through this. We're going to run over it. Just to recap, step 1, assessment. This is the path, the correct path. The mindset. These are all things you're going to implement. We got to get all these issues, hormones, digestion, sleep, gut health under control. Nutrition, it has to be something sensible, not starvation, not limitation. You learn how to, with all these things, you're going to learn how to actually beef up, restore, speed up that metabolism. So like it was when you were younger, you could get away with eating certain things that wouldn't even affect you. It's affecting you now because everything's down. You've changed. We just got to put you back to where you were. That's all we're doing. So you can have something once in a while. It's not like you're deprived totally. Community environment. So the difference, what's the difference in this whole entire program? The difference in this and other things, I'm dealing with the reality of your aging body. It's not a one size fits all. I wish I had a coach like this. I haven't. I had to figure it all on my own. So my experience as a middle-aged man, 56 years old, I've lived and live every day these 5 steps for the last 40 years. You got to harness your own power within. It's a game changer. And we're focusing the least on the diet and the exercise, even though it is an important component to this whole thing. We basically got to overhaul. We got to change your identity. We got to change the way you look at things, your world view on what it takes to being healthier, getting in shape. I'm trying to give you, giving you the shortest possible path to the goal that you want without wasting time, effort, energy, and money, because you don't have it. You don't have forever to figure this out. And the difference too is this whole community support. Huge, huge, huge difference. So what's next? Go ahead and schedule an appointment, mark your calendar. Click below, pick a time that's available. Let's talk this out. Discover exactly how to apply this to yourself. I want to help you. So be open to getting coached and changed. Again, we can talk. Doesn't mean that we're going to work together. Like I said, I only have so many spots available. And I have to be selective. And I'm just being straightforward and honest with people. And if you're a good fit, then I can invite you into the program. So hope to talk to you soon. Thank you for letting me share this with you.